Hello guys, welcome on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you the top 10 contradictions in the Bible. Contradiction is incompatibility and opposition of ideas, statements. So rapidly, the first contradiction in our lesson. The Gospel of Luke chapter 1 verse 23 is in contradiction with Matthew chapter 1 verse 16. Jesus has two different grandfathers. So this is what we are going to see. Luke chapter 3 verse 23. When Jesus began his work, he was about 30 years old. He was the son, so people thought, of Joseph, who was the son of Heli. So Jesus was the son of Joseph, who was the son of Heli. So according to this verse, the grandfather of Jesus is Heli. So the father of Joseph is Heli. But Matthew is going to tell different story. Let's read. Matthew chapter 1 verse 16. Eliezer, Mathan, Jacob, and Joseph, who married Mary, the mother of Jesus, who was called the Messiah. So according to Matthew chapter 1 verse 16, the father of Joseph is Jacob. So Jesus' grandfather, according to Matthew chapter 1 verse 16, is Jacob. So here we have contradiction. The genealogy of Luke is stating that the grandfather of Jesus is Heli, and Matthew is stating that the grandfather of Jesus is Jacob. Contradiction. Even if we have two different genealogies, we should have the same father. A person cannot have two fathers. It doesn't make sense. Perfect contradiction. We are going to the second contradiction. Second contradiction, Matthew chapter 1 verse 22 to 23. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 to 23 is in contradiction with Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14. I read, "Now all this happened in order to make come true what the Lord had said through the prophet. A virgin will become pregnant and have a son, and he will be called Emmanuel," which means God is with us. According to this verse, a virgin will become pregnant. Here Matthew stated a virgin, but in original text Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14 didn't state virgin. We are going to check it. Isaiah 7:14. "Well, then the Lord himself will give you a sign. A young woman who is pregnant will have a son and will name him Emmanuel." Here, according to the prophecy, before Isaiah prophesizing, the woman was already pregnant, and the prophecy stated that a young woman, because in original text it is Alma. Alma means a young woman. It's not Betula. Betula in Hebrew language means a virgin. But here, the verse translated, the original statement translated here is Alma, which means young woman. So a young woman is very different from virgin, because a young woman can be virgin or not, but a virgin cannot be A virgin is always virgin. So it is two statements. It is two different statements. Here they used such concepts because they want to invent a God who is from a virgin. It is a concept from paganism, Babylon, Greece. You see, it is a concept from Babylon, ancient concept from Babylon and Greece, virgin birth. So they want to invent a concept of virgin birth. So it is a contradiction. The prophecy should be written as Isaiah told. So it is a contradiction. Let's jump to another contradiction. Okay, next contradiction. John chapter 3 verse 16. For God loved the world so much that he gave his only son, so that everyone who believes in him may not die but have eternal life. Meaning here, God so loved the world. God extended, according to the verse, God extended his love for the world. But Matthew chapter 15 verse 24 is going to contradict. Let's check. Matthew chapter 15 verse 24. Then Jesus replied, I have been sent only to the lost sheep of the people of Israel. Contradiction. This is a restriction. Here Jesus is stating that he has been sent only to the lost sheep of the people of Israel, meaning not the whole world. This is a contradiction. Jesus, if God really sent Jesus for the whole world, why would Jesus state that he has been sent only for the lost sheep of Israel? It doesn't make sense. Perfect contradiction. So we are jumping another contradiction. John chapter 10 verse 30 is in contradiction with John chapter 10 verse 36. Let's read John chapter 10 verse 20. John chapter 10 verse 30. The Father and I are one. After making this statement, people would stone Jesus because he was blaspheming according to Jewish tradition. So people would stone him for telling that the Father and I are one. Then in verse 36, Jesus is going to change his mouth. Let's read. As for me, the Father chose me and sent. As for me, the Father chose me and sent me into the world. How then can you say that I blaspheme? Because I said that I am the Son of God. Contradiction. Jesus said that people are accusing him for saying I am the Son of God. It's a lie. Verse 30. He said, I and the Father are one. The Father and I are one. Perfect contradiction. So people will stone him for saying the Father and I are one. And then he changed his mouth, saying, I am the Son of God. Contradiction. Matthew chapter 5, verse 43. You have heard that it was said, love your friends Hate your enemies. This is a lie. Matthew chapter 5 verse 23 is in contradiction with Leviticus chapter 19 verse 18. Here, Jesus said, "You have heard that it was said, love your friends, hate your enemies." This statement is not in the whole Bible. It's a lie. We are going to check in Leviticus. The verse which Jesus was quoting is Leviticus chapter 19 verse 18. Do not take revenge on others or continue to hate them, but love your neighbors as you love yourself. I am the Lord. Do not take revenge on others or continue to hate them, but love your neighbors as you love yourself. I am the Lord. Contradiction. Here people want to invent a God in the New Testament who is more moral than the God in Old Testament. But Jesus was cheating. He was lying, because this statement is not in the whole Old Testament. Contrary, it is stated that do not take revenge, meaning do not revenge, or do not hate your enemy. Yes, don't take revenge means do not hate your enemy. So it is a contradiction. Another contradiction here too. John chapter 8 verse 44. You are the children of your father, the devil, and you want to follow your father's desires. From the very beginning he was a murderer and has never been on the side of truth, because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he is only doing what is natural to him, because he is a liar and the father of all lies. This statement is a lie. Why? Because the author of murder is not a Satan, is not a devil, it's a God. According to Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 39, God is the author of the murder. God is author of good and bad. So the New Testament was invented against the Jewish book Torah. You see, it was invented against the book so that they will humiliate the book. Do you see? So let's go and check it in Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 39. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 39. I and I alone am God. No other God is real. I kill and give life. I wound and I heal, and no one can oppose what I do. So who kill and who give? Who kills and who gives life? It's only God. God alone kills and gives life. So the statement of Jesus in John chapter 8 verse 44 about the devil is the author of murder is a liar, because one who kill is God. According to Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 39, Another verse to support. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 6 to 7. I do this so that everyone from one end of the world to the other may know that I am the Lord, and that there is no other God. I create both light and darkness, bring both blessing and disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. So clearly, the author of disaster and blessing is who? The God. Light and darkness. The author of light and darkness is God. According to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 6 to 7. So the statement of Jesus in John chapter 8 verse 44 is a lie. The devil is not the author of darkness and disaster, the blessing and the light. No. When we read in the book of Job, it is God who sent Satan to go kill, to destroy. So the order was always given by who? By God, before Satan operating. So we are creating two gods. The God in the Old Testament is very different from the God in the New Testament. Doing this, they contradicted themselves. Another contradiction. Luke chapter 4 verse 17 to 18 is in contradiction with Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1 to 3. Let's read Luke chapter 4 verse 17 to 18. And was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it's written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has chosen me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free the oppressed, and announce that the time has come when the Lord will save his people. This is a fake quotation. Jesus is quoting a verse and he put some sentences which are not in the book of Isaiah. So we are going to question Jesus. Where is he taking these sentences from? The recovery of sight to the blind. The recovery of sight to the blind is not in the book of Isaiah. The whole book, there is not the recovery of sight to the blind. Let's go and check it. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1 to 3. The sovereign Lord has filled me with his spirit. He has chosen me and sent me to bring good news to the poor, to heal the broken-hearted, to announce release to captives and freedom to those in prison. He has sent me to proclaim that the time has come when the Lord will save his people and defeat their enemies. He has sent me to comfort all who mourn, to give to those who mourn in Zion joy and gladness instead of grief, song of praise instead of sorrow. They will be like trees that the Lord himself has planted. Do you see? I'm going to repeat. The sovereign Lord has filled me with his spirit. He has chosen me and sent me to bring good news to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, to announce release to captives and freedom to those in prison. He has sent me to proclaim that the time has come when the Lord will save his people and defeat their enemies. He has sent me to comfort all who mourn, to give to those who mourn in Zion joy and gladness instead of grief, and song of praise instead of sorrow. Do you see? There is not a statement of the recovery of sight. No, there is not the recovery of sight. So let's question to Jesus, where is he taking the statement of recovery of sight from? No, contradiction, lies. Next contradiction. So the next contradiction, 1 John chapter 4 verse 12. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in union with us, and his love is made perfect in us. No one has ever seen God. This is a lie according to the Bible, because in the Bible we have quotations or verses which prove people have seen God. So let's go and check. So Exodus chapter 24 verse 9 to 11. Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders of Israel went up the mountain, and they saw the God of Israel. Beneath his feet was what looked like pavement of sapphire, as blue as the sky. God did not harm these leading men of Israel. They saw God, and then they ate and drank together. I repeat, Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders of Israel went up the mountain, and they saw the God of Israel. Beneath his feet was what looked like pavement of sapphire, as blue as the sky. God did not harm these leading men of Israel. They saw God, and then they ate and drank together. So here, those persons saw God. Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu plus 70 of the leaders. It's equal to 74. 74 persons saw God. So the statement of 1 John, I don't know who is the author of 1 John. So it seems that even the author doesn't have any knowledge about the Old Testament, because here, even in Genesis, Adam and Eve saw God in the past. According to the Bible, God came in the garden and communicates. He had conversation with them. So here, 1 John chapter 4 verse 12 is in contradiction with this verse. Exodus chapter 24 verse 9 to 11. So let's jump to the next contradiction. Another contradiction. John chapter 3 verse 13. And no one has ever gone up to heaven except the Son of Man who came down from heaven. So they are inventing a book in which they are making Jesus a supernatural being, a great person than others. so that the book will look great. By doing this, they contradicted themselves. Here, John chapter 3 verse 13, and no one has ever gone up to heaven except the Son of Man. It's a lie. It's a lie. Enoch went to heaven according to Old Testament, and the prophet Elijah also went to heaven. So let's go and check the verse. Where Genesis chapter 5 verse 21 to 24. When Enoch was 65, he had a son, Methuselah. After that, Enoch lived in fellowship with God for 300 years. 300 years, and had other children. He lived to be 365 years old. He spent his life in fellowship with God, and then he disappeared because God took him away. God took Enoch away. So we are going to question ourselves, where did God live? God lived in heaven. So if he took away Enoch, meaning Enoch was with him, so he too went to heaven. Therefore, the statements of Jesus in John chapter 3 verse 13 is a lie. It's a lie. Another verse to support. 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 1 and verse 11. 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 1. The time came for the Lord to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind. Do you see? Verse 11. 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11. They keep talking as they walked on. Then suddenly a chariot of fire pulled by horses of fire came between them, and Elijah was taken up to heaven by a whirlwind. So Elijah was also taken up to heaven, including Enoch. So here, the statement of John chapter 3 verse 13 about no one has gone up is a lie. It's a lie. So let's finish with the last contradiction. The last contradiction is seen in Proverbs chapter 10 verse 4. Being lazy will make you poor, but hard work will make you rich. According to this verse, it is hard work which makes rich, but it's going to deceive you in verse 22. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 22. It is the Lord's blessing that makes you wealthy. Hard work cannot make you richer. Perfect contradiction. Listen. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 22. It is the Lord's blessing that makes you wealthy. Hard work can make you no richer. And listen to verse 4. Verse 4. Being lazy will make you poor, but hard work will make you rich. We need hard work. According to verse 4, one needs hard work to be rich. But in verse 22, hard work doesn't make rich. So guys, see you later. Share the video and subscribe to our YouTube video channel. We are going to do more lesson. So see you and bye bye.